So I've actually uploaded 2 pieces of C code for the Lat3. So we will not look at it right now. We will look at Lat4 first. So later, if we have time, we can actually take a look at this. Right? If not, you pause it. If you have the time, you can actually try it out yourself. Alright, I did actually sort of like uploaded all of it, alright, especially like the one that is like capturing sort of like the telnet's password, because it's a little difficult to view. You will see the password corrector one by one. So let's look at the ICMP redirects, which is Lat4. So this is an overview. So ICMP redirect is actually sort of like a message, a special kind of ICMP message that is sent by a router. So this redirect is actually to tell the sender that you should actually send via another router. Okay. Which is actually here. Redirects are used when a router believes a packet is being routed incorrectly. So you would like to inform the sender that it should use a different router. So ICMP redirect, you could actually use this attack to change a victim's routing. But nowadays, actually, most of the modern OS actually by default, they will not sort of like react to this ICMP redirect attack. So most likely, if you try this particular attack, in real cases, it may not work. We got to specifically turn off the ICMP redirect protections on the Ubuntu before this experiment can be successful. So objective of this task, you launch an ICMP redirect attack on a victim. So when the victim sends packets to another computer on another network, it will use a malicious router, as its router instead. So this malicious router is controlled by the attacker, and because of that, attacker can do many attacks. So remember the other day we do ARP, alright, ARP poisoning. So that is a kind of man-in-the-middle attack. So today we will do another type of man-in-the-middle attack. It uses this ICMP redirect attack. Okay. They are both ICMP redirect attack, just that the ARP spoofing actually look at the ARP cache. This one actually look at the routing, or it actually sort of like look at the routing cache. So this lab actually covers IP and ICMP protocols, ICMP redirect attack, routing. Alright, again, the concepts you may want to find out more. The lab environment, the YAML files is different this time. Okay. But the methods are actually the same. You look at this diagram. This diagram is going to be different. You see this diagram. So far from lab 1 to lab 3, we are using 2 computers to communicate, and we have an attacker machine. But this one, besides that, we actually have 2 different networks. So this is the additional network that we have this time around, 192.168.60.0. This is one network. This is another network. And there's actually a router in between them. So this router is used to route traffic between between the 10.9.0.0 network and the 192.168.60.0 network. Okay, this is the real router. This is sort of like a malicious router. Okay, this is a malicious router. So there's a victim here, there's an attacker here. So if you look at the YAML files for your platform, you notice that you have a victim here. Okay, that's actually a victim. The victim actually have just the redirect this particular sentence under the sys control. This one actually means that you will accept ICMP redirect packet. You go to specifically turn this on, right? Turn this on. By default, alright, by default, it's not turned on. So it will not react to redirect packet, ICMP redirect packet. So this is the line here, alright, in the YAML file. This is the attacker, right? This is the attacker. Then you see you have one more, you have a malicious router. Malicious router also using the seed Ubuntu, the image, right? The seed Ubuntu image. It's just that it actually have like this particular network address, and it's specifically turned on, right? Turn on the ID forward on here, the ID forward equal to 1. There is a host v1 and a host v2, alright, it's roughly the same, but the IP address are different. 60.5 and 60.6. Most likely we will not touch the 60.6. Alright, 60.5, but usually it's enough. And if you look at the, okay, let me scroll up. So if you look at the victim, the command actually have another line. You have an IP route, or you have an IP route. This particular line, alright, this particular line tells the computer to set up a routing table entry to say that if I want to reach 60, I will be via this N9011, which if you look at the diagram, right, and here, victim is here. If I want to reach this network, I got to go via N9011. That's right. So which is the correct route? Attacker is the same. Malicious router also have this line. So this malicious router, it doesn't actually link directly to 192.168.60.0. It linked via this N9011. So that means if you redirect your traffic from the victim to the malicious router, the malicious router will also contact the N9011. Okay, just like if you go through one more hub, go this, then you come here again. This one. Both V1 and V2, the IP route is different. So that means if I want to reach 10.9.0.0, I gotta go via 192.168.60.11. So I am here, alright? Let's say I'm 60.5. If I want to reach this network, I got to go via this router. Remember the routing, the gateway, there's something like a gateway. The gateway is the IP address that the machine, right, like 60.5 got to point to here, and 905 got to point to here. But you cannot point across, the network will not work. Host V2 is similar to host V1. Then you have a router. The router actually have a settings, right? The IP forward is 1. So so that it can forward the IP packet. It has two IP addresses, 10.90.11 and 192.168.11. Okay. Then you got a default route that you can actually ignore this default, right? Is to reach outside, right? Is to reach your seat Bluetooth. Then in terms of the network, you have two networks. Besides the usual 10.9.0.0, you have one more, 192.168.60.0. So if you can actually configure the YAML, which is actually not the focus of our module, but it's good to know. So you can see that to set up this network, if you use virtual machines to set up the, imagine all this one virtual machines, not containers. You want to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 virtual machines in your laptop, which may not be able to support. Alright? So by container, that's not an issue, it's more than enough. The rest are the same, alright? The rest of this .ps, .shell, all these are the same. So about the attacker container, again, shared folder, all these are the same. Privilege mode is turned on. Okay. Alright, I merely just talk about the initial parts and I haven't actually discussed the task one yet. So let's put up our SIG VMs. What are your SIG VM? Load in lat4. Alright, Docker down your lat3, Docker compose down your lat3, and Docker compose up your lat4. Alright. Okay, again, what I will do is I just copy my lab setup. Alright, copy to my share folder. Okay, copy to the respective folders in your SIG Ubuntu. Alright, so from your folder that consists of the Docker Compose YAML file. I just check if I still have something there. Right, Docker PS-A will show whatever containers that you still have and just remove it. I run the Docker Compose down.
จบ
Let me know.
จบมีด้วยจบแล้วที่การคิดออกข้อเต็มมาอยู่
But once you look in the correct, the other file just run the Docker compose up it.
他早就做好
Alright. So you should have like 6 containers.
这样子飞东西，
你都 OK 吗？
Your file, you have you look at the network.
这是希腊的。
Right, you have attackers, a victims, a malicious router, a real routers, and 2 machines that belongs to the 16 network, 192.168 series. Okay, then you look at your task 1, launching your ICMP redirect attack. This particular paragraph actually tells you that in the Yahoo file, you have already turned off the countermeasures. Except redirect equal to 1. Alright, this is in the victim, alright, in the victim container. If you want to turn on the protection, you just make it to 0, but no, we don't have to do that. Unless you want to try that your redirect attack doesn't work, which you could. So for this task, we will attack the victim containers from the attacker containers. So in the current setup, the victim will use the router container. As the routers, right, to get to this 192.168.60.0. So if you run IP route on the victims, you will see this. Okay, victims, you'll see the 109011. Then just use the terminator. Right, use the alias because yeah, I think easier to reason. Okay, so I get into my victim. Victim is here, right? The victim. So for my case, it's 4.3. Okay, so there's a victim. So victim, if I actually run this command, IP route, you'll see this line, alright, you'll see this line, the 192.168.60.0 via 109011. Right, you'll see this line the same as your left guys. So what does it mean? If you go back to the diagram, I think let me just copy this diagram. Okay, so at the moment we are working in here, right? Okay. So if you run the IP route, command, is actually at your left task, task 1, the IP route command. Okay, there's a space. If you run this command, you'll see that there's a wire N9011. And it's this button. If you see again on this one, right, you see that 192.168.0/24 the CID via N9011. This one. So that means from the victim perspective, if I want to go to this network, regardless of whether it's .5 or .6, I will first come to this router. Right, I'll first come to this router, the real router. Then this router will send it to, let's say I want to reach 60.5 here. So this is the correct way. So the ICMP redirect attack is actually later on, it's actually trying to make, if I want to reach here, the victim, this is the source. This is a destination. You will first go to this malicious router. So I'm going to do that. Alright, you go to malicious router. Instead of going to the N9011 router. Right, although the malicious router, if you look at how it is set up in the Docker compo, you will actually reach this guy first, then you will reach here. So what is the point of here? Right, because the attacker is going to do something. Alright, the attacker is going to send out something to make the victim thought that when I want to reach a destination, which is 192.168.60.5, I need to go through the malicious router, .111, instead of the actual router, which is .11. Okay. So the assumption is the attacker can control the malicious router. So whatever traffic passes through the malicious router, the attacker can read, can modify. So it's a man in the middle. So this one can actually say that this is a man in the middle, the malicious router, right? For this case, which we are going to look at in task 2. You get a whole idea? Because this is basically what you're going to do for Lat 4. There are two tasks. First task to make the redirect work. So that when the victim want to send to the destination, it will send to the malicious router first. The second task built on top of your first task to make a little bit of changes, just very similar to what we have done for the ARP poisoning. You modify a particular string. You modify a particular string when the source, actually talk the victim, talk to the destination. Okay. So the malicious router acts as a man in the middle attack. So task 2 will build on top of your task 1 because task 1 you do the ICMP redirect. Task 2 you still run the ICMP redirect. Then you run the man in the middle attack. Okay. So the whole net purpose is this. So this one you got to be clear because if not, then you will not know what you are doing later on. So I will stop a while and see whether anyone have questions before we go to proceed to do the task 1.
I don't know, there's some issue here. It's not from 是，要不